and holding this belief improves that experience.
Yeah. For me, for my reality, for the world I live on.
On the planet you live on, this helps.
Get those rocket boosters ready, buddy.
So we're here with Missy. Did you want to use your real name, Missy?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Missy. And we've gotten to be pretty good friends in the last few months or so. And I really dig a lot of your visual art.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could maybe tell me, I'm really curious about that. I was maybe hoping you could tell me a little bit about what you think makes visual art affect us the way it does, like just to get us started.
Sure. I believe that it's, art in general is a way for us as individuals to express something that is unexpressible and maybe communicating or,
So it's
it's
like
something like that, and also the different forms of art are going to touch individuals in different ways, like what you listen to in music that strikes you, that gets you where you need to be emotionally or realigned or, energized, whatever it is, may be different from what I would listen to. It's the same with visual art, I think, also, like seeing a Kandinsky painting versus a landscape, it's going to affect people in different ways, but no less impactfully, and I think that's what art is. It's just another way to communicate what's going on inside, and for some people they can easily go to that too, some people can't, they need rhetoric, or they need, to speak as their way to communicate, or not at all. Maybe it's through other ways, but yeah, for me, art and visual art, music especially also are that bridge.
So it helps us with expression and communication.
Yeah,
And
sure.
depending on the medium, it can affect us in different ways.
Yeah, and surprising ways too, something that you think, let's say like a Kandinsky painting, which is just abstract splatter, to someone that, is I would say layman, I mean, it could be anyone who's maybe not seen it before and just thinks it's a thing. I don't get it, I don't get modern art. But then they walk into a room and are presented with something like that and can feel the energy and the intent behind what the painter was doing, especially if you know a little bit about, their background and stuff. And it might speak to you, and in a surprising way too, But, yeah.
Yeah, I really dig it. It's, like you said, it's a way to express without necessarily having the right words.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, what someone like an artist like Van Gogh or the masters as they call them, the same with music, Beethoven and whatnot. They're able to put so much of their story and their genius in their works. That's why they're lasting as well. They're still speaking to people.
It lasts longer than the artist does.
That's the thing with art, is that it's definitely music and visual expression of the universe. So there is this continuity that carries that's deeper than just our physical, blooming and going to compost again, which is the physical form.
It helps us kind of get in touch with non-physical stuff.
Yeah, but also physical stuff, like in visual art, like the media that most speaks to me right now is gouache, and gouache is water-based, so that, there's an element, there's, earth in there because of the different pigments and stuff, so it's very, like alchemy in a way, so there definitely is a lot of physical manipulation that's happening in art as well, as with playing drums and things, there's a construct that has to happen in the material world in order for you to be able to do that expression of something that is immaterial.
That's cool. Well, so as you know, I've been practicing what's called street epistemology, and for the benefit of whoever's listening, the way I use street epistemology is basically like a set of conversation tools that allow the both of us to explore a conclusion that you hold to be likely true or the case, and we use street epistemology to explore not necessarily whether that conclusion is true or not, but more about the way you arrived at the conclusion. So, and whether the methods that you're using to arrive at the conclusion are reliable. And so I was thinking what we could do, and I have a lot of options of where we can go, but we could examine a conclusion you have, and I could ask you questions about it, like from a neutral perspective, to try to better understand your epistemology, and hopefully in doing that would allow for you to better understand it also. So we could do that. I've been also working on this new experiment where I try to have a productive street epistemology conversation without knowing what the conclusion is or what the claim is. So we could do it where you'd write down a claim that you want to examine, and then I won't see it, and then I would ask you basically the same questions I would ask anyway, but that allows me to take, because I want to refrain from inserting my own biases and views about it, so that I can have a more objective understanding of it. And so I've been working with doing that a little bit to see how that goes. I also have the Street Epistemology survey with me, and that's basically a survey of 24 statements, and you basically assign your level of how much you agree with it on a spectrum. We could take one of the statements and kind of explore that. You could like look at them and decide which one you want to do.
Well, we had talked, I think, before about that initially, and you had hadn't proposed them yet, but you said you had 3 of those questions in mind instead of me trying to read the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But whatever. I mean,
We could
here
do
for
that.
You, my friends.
Another option we have is I give you a word for you to define, and then we could talk about your definition of it. That could be something that we could do. What's does any of those options sound better than another one to you? Is there something that you have in mind that we could explore?
Not necessarily. I think the defining something, I mean, we kind of did that with the visual art, but I'm happy to do that one again. The survey questions, we had vetted through that, so that's an option. If you just want to pick one from a hat, we can.
You want me to choose it for you?
Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, because I'd like to be a little off kilter, right? Because that's the reality of who I am at this moment. So if there's any preparation, like we talked about preparation or over preparing for something like this, and I feel like I could pick a safe question, and if there's something that jumps out at you, that speaks to me of a synchronicity of like, I need to ask her this, and it may be what I need to be asked.
Oh, okay.
Beyond my my safety or my knowledge of what I'd want to talk about, I guess.
To kind of get you to think outside of a certain box or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the point of all this is a learning, and so if we stay in our comfort zones, which is nice to stay in every now and again, you need to recharge and get capacity.
Yeah. But
in order for real growth and the learning, the greater learning of Big Mind, then you gotta bounce off the other atoms. You gotta let them change your trajectory, perhaps, or way of thinking.
I don't remember which ones I picked.
Yeah, I don't know. That's cool. So, and then you had the one you want to experiment with.
Yeah, the one with the
which is the
plan.
blind thing.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question on that. So, now when I'm speaking about this belief that you don't know what it is, do I have to speak in generalities though? Because that might be a difficult, if you're really trying to get to someone, but they have to then translate this in a way so that you're not picking up on.
Right. You would have to frame your answers in a way where you wouldn't want to reveal what the claim is. Yeah, it's harder on your end than it is on my end, because I'm just asking the same questions I would ask no matter what the claim is. So it is kind of an experiment that I've been playing around with.
Now I can see that working for. That would be that'd be tough. Because I feel like within a few levels, you would figure out where the conversation's going. You'd be in the ballpark. You'd be in the ballpark. You'd have an understanding if this is a confidence or low confidence.
Right. And just to be clear, the the point of it would not for me to try to guess what it is.
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah.
But that's going to be part of it though too, right? I mean, just as playful beings, there's a curiosity to try
Yeah.
and solve that puzzle. So that's going to be taking up cycles in your, I would think, but I don't know. I don't
The
know how
last
you
time
segment stuff going on.
Yeah. The last time I did it, they revealed the claim at the end, and I had no clue what it was.
Really?
I had absolutely no.
So you've seen this in practice?
I did it. I've done it once or twice. I've done it twice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And both times. Because I wasn't really focusing on what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was just making sure that I was asking the questions that I would normally ask, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me take my ego out of
the
or any
biases, like you said,
attachment that I had
Mm-hmm.
for or against.
Right.
So it kind of makes it really easy for me. But yeah, it with both times that I've done it before, it sounded like it was very difficult for the other person to try to answer in a way where they wouldn't give away what the
that's
claim
what
is.
I was curious, like how do I communicate without using detail,
Right.
especially if I'm describing how I've arrived at something that is part of who I am.
I mean, we can try it. We can try it if you're up for that, and then see how it goes. And if it train wrecks, then we can move on to a different kind of
Sure, I'm
format.
down now.
I mean,
Let's do it.
unless you've already, I mean, I'll leave it up to you. Now that you know the options.
Yeah, no, I'm any of it, man. I mean, it's what you have a willing victim here, so. Not victim, but participant, I should say. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Guinea pig.
I appreciate you helping me with this.
Yeah.
This is giving me more practice and stuff.
I'll say it on camera. I think this is a really an amazing path that you found for yourself. Just from what I know, full disclosure, we have a mutual friend, Rupert, who's been on many of your things and also helping with your production and all of that. So just watching over the course of this year now, almost a year, it's really great to see you blossom and find from your backstory that this is something that really plugs into who you are, and in many levels, like, not only the art of conversation, but also in your music and in your public speaking. And so and then also drilling down to the truth, which is something people don't want to face. I try to help people face it from a different angle, from the inside out, but to also have this as a vehicle to explore that more, it's really wonderful to see, and I'm happy to help, because it's such a positive movement.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot. It's been really fun to kind of learn more about people and how they think. Up until recently, I was doing a lot of exploring in the woods, and now I feel like I'm exploring with other people the way that their minds work. And so it's been a fun journey in that way. So I appreciate you helping me, and just want to make sure it's okay that we're recording, and that the video might go up on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Cool?
Yeah,
Cool.
I hope it serves.
Awesome. Well, so do you want to write a conclusion down? Do you want to write a claim
try
down?
that one? All right, we're going with that one. Door
we'll do
number
that.
2. Okay.
And then we'll see how it goes. And like I said, if it ends up not working out, which is totally possible, like I said, I've only done this a couple of times.
Okay.
Then we'll bag it and do something else. So I'll have you write it down.
Okay.
And fold it up and put it in your pocket or something.
Cue Jeopardy tune.
Yeah. And the
So just a
reason
little
why...
piece of paper, yeah? I don't need the whole sheet,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. And the reason why I'm having you write it down is so that you can't change it in the middle of our conversation.
Yeah. But doesn't that kind of happen, though? I mean, the people that begin to, through that exploration, begin to lose confidence in their assertions, yeah?
Yeah, we'll probably talk a little bit about that. And if the desire for you to change the conclusion, that's good. That means that you've given it maybe more thought than you had before, and so that's the reason why you want to change it. We'll see, but I think it'd be interesting to have it.
How specific am I? It's just a general, this is a view that I hold very strongly?
Yeah, it makes the talk more meaningful if it's something that you think is true about the world. If you're fairly confident in it, and if it affects your behavior.
Yes, okay.
So it's meaningful in that way. And then if you can phrase it in a positive manner, it makes it easier to examine. If you were to say aliens are fake rather than aliens are not real, you know what I mean? So
I see. Okay.
the positive side of it,
Okay.
instead of I
Not
don't
using-
believe something, or I
okay.
believe this isn't the case. That's
Not using knots.
right. Yeah, if you phrase it in
Not using knots.
X is true,
X is true.
in that
Okay.
that maybe that kind of format.
Okay.
All right. So you've written down this conclusion that you think is true, that
Yes.
you're fairly confident in, and it affects your behavior.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about putting yourself on this scale
Okay.
from 0 to 100,
Okay.
and 0 is going to mean not confident at all. So like only questions, no confidence, and then 100 is only confidence, no questions. So on that scale, how confident are you that this conclusion is factually accurate?
100%.
100. No, there's no questions at all that it's true.
Yeah.
Okay. 100. Okay. On that same scale, how important is it for you to have an accurate map of reality? Like, how important is it for you for your beliefs to be true?
How important is it to me that this particular belief?
Just in general,
okay.
to be believing
Okay.
true things, to have for your conclusions about the world to be accurate.
Yeah, I don't. So, all right, let me regurgitate this once more, make sure I'm understanding. So, how important is it to me that my reality is based in truth?
That'd be another way to phrase it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that
no,
what you're concluding is based in reality.
is
Say it
based
that
in
way.
reality. Okay. Not so important to me because I feel reality is well. Yeah, it's all perception and experience, so it's subject to change at any moment.
So, are you comfortable putting a number on that?
The same scale,
Yeah.
0 to 100. How confident am I that
How important is it
How
for you to
important?
be believing true things?
how important is it? Well, that's different though. That my belief in truth versus if reality is true, right?
If your perception of reality is accurate.
But that's different from just in general believing in true things. Is
Okay.
it not? Or
We can talk about the difference.
yeah. Okay.
So one statement is, how important is it for you to be believing true things?
Mm-hmm.
And so the other statement would be, how important is it for your conclusions to line up with truth? Is that
With
a different
reality.
statement to you? For you?
Well, you threw reality in there at different points, so that threw me. So which statement do you want me to focus on?
Well, do you want to use the word true, or do you want to use reality? Are those different for you?
They are different.
Okay.
They are different.
Maybe we can talk about the differences between truth and reality.
Okay. So
What would be the main difference between those for you, in your mind?
yeah, so I believe that truth informs what reality is, because as your belief in what is true maybe changes, then your reality changes. Can it inform the other way? No, I don't think it informs the other way. I think each individual has their own reality and their own trajectory that they're on, and the change in truth happens before the change in reality. Now that you can get more information, your belief system can begin to change. Things in your environment may get you to question what you believe is true. But until that moment of change, your reality is staying the same.
Your reality stays the same until you believe something else?
Right, until your truth changes in some way.
Okay.
What you believe is true
So
changes.
your reality is based on what you believe.
Sure, yeah. For individuals. And I mean, I can only speak from my perspective as well.
Okay.
But yeah, from my understanding, from my studies, from my experiences, absolutely. I believe that it is the truth, the on and off. It's true for me, it's not true for me, or the things that inform what my reality is right now.
Your perceptions cause you to hold certain beliefs that tell you what reality is.
Yes.
Can that interpretation of reality be incorrect?
It depends on who's saying that it's incorrect, right? No,
Have we done the Tic Tac experiment yet?
No.
Okay. So, and I've eaten quite a few of these.
Okay.
Usually it's a full one.
I
But
like Tic Tacs.
so the idea with this thought experiment is, would you agree that the way we define a Tic Tac, that there's either an even or an odd amount of Tic Tacs in this box?
That's one way to measure them, for sure. Yeah.
There's either an even or an odd amount.
Yeah.
Okay. And how could we find out if this has an even or an odd amount?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. You could count them.
Okay.
For sure. You could know the volume of the container that they're in and the dimensions of each and the space between, and thereby estimate if it's even or odd.
But we
Counting
could
would be the
count
most
them.
accurate. Yes.
Okay, counting. Okay. So if we counted these and we counted them 1,000 times, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were pretty sure that there were 30
Okay.
in here. So that would make it an even number of Tic Tacs, right?
Sure.
So, if somebody were to walk up to the table and say that there's an odd number in here, would they be mistaken?
Yeah.
If they said that they believed that there were an odd number in here, and it was their reality that there was an odd number in here, would they still be mistaken?
In their world, no. But in our world, since we have proof of how many are in there, it would be mistaken.
Is it possible for a conclusion in their world to be inaccurate?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to ask the they that you're talking about. Because only the individual knows if their belief has changed, right? We can assume that their belief has changed, but they have to somehow outwardly tell us that,
Yeah. If they held the belief that there was an odd number of Tic Tacs in here, would that belief be accurate?
For them, it may be. It doesn't change our reality, though. I mean, our reality is we've counted them, and we know that there's an even number.
Uh-huh. If they counted them, and they counted 30, and they said that in their reality it was odd, would they be mistaken about that?
No, I mean, if that's their belief, then, they can try to explain to us how they arrived at that conclusion. We can explain to them how we arrived at our conclusion. And if they still choose to believe that, no, this is an odd number, this is how I learned, what can you say to that?
Can anybody be mistaken about anything?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that if something is mistaken, there is a level of judgment being made from someone else on the outside, right? And then there is the acceptance of the individual. Yes, you're right. The way I was going about things is wrong. And so then they have to thereby change who they are. That's the full form of being mistaken, I believe. So there's the give and take. There's an acknowledgement that I'm wrong in the way I'm thinking, and then the acceptance to, or an agreement that maybe this is just my belief, and then I think the feeling of being mistaken or not only lives with the one that's observing the behavior, if that makes sense. It could go the other way as well. Like, let's say you were to tell me you're mistaken, and I say, no, I'm not. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, she's right. She isn't mistaken, right? But anyway.
I guess I'm trying to figure out.
So
another way that I like to explore this is, if I were to take your glasses, and if I were to say, it's my belief that these glasses belong to me, would that be okay with you?
Sure, but you would not be able to see. I mean, if that's how you want to go through the rest of your life, not being able to see a bloody thing, then please have them. I'll get another pair.
So
the world will be an impressionist painting for me until I get a new pair.
You wouldn't have any issue with that?
No, I mean, but I'm an oddball in that way. I don't believe in possessions.
Okay.
There's sentimentality for sure, and there's necessity in them, but I don't. If you need my glasses, you have them. Now, if there's some aggression there, I might have a problem with it. But if I can help, you can have it.
If you were riding your bike to the store,
Yep.
and you were riding in the bike lane, and I decided I wanted to pass somebody on the right, and I got into the bike lane and I hit you, and you're hurt really bad. And if I said it was my belief that that it wasn't me that hit you, would I be, and we had video, surveillance, evidence, there's scratches all over the front of my car that match your bike.
Yeah.
You saw the license plate. You
Sure.
know, we have this
Irrefutable. Yeah.
huge amount of evidence that points towards me being the one that basically hit you on your bike. And I said that it was my reality that that it wasn't me that hit you.
Right.
Would you have any issue with that?
I would feel bad for you because you're having a delusional episode.
Okay, why would I be delusional?
Because there is evidence, and there is the bike lane, so there are rules of the road.
We have evidence of the amount of Tic Tacs in here.
Sure.
So is it evidence?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same argument. I mean, I didn't use delusion before because what you're describing to me is much more an extreme case than someone saying,
Okay.
you know, they could have just been taught wrong. We don't know what their background is, and they could just really believe that because that's what they learned. But having delusion, though, that's a different animal. It's still true, though, that that's the reality. But what we're facing is someone that there's something else going on in their mind that is clouding judgment.
Why would they be the one with the delusion?
What? Because there's injury having been made to people and things. There's
'Cause of the evidence,
a
right?
social contract that's been broken.
Okay. Does the amount of delusion depend on the amount of evidence?
Does the amount of delusion depend on the amount of evidence?
Because we have evidence that there's an even amount of Tic Tacs in this box.
Yeah, I believe it does because, like I say, I mean, it could just be that this person who thinks that even numbers are odd was just taught incorrectly. You know, maybe they lived on the street, maybe they're completely sane, but because of how they learned to communicate numbers, because that is itself just a construct for us to explain the world around us, but they learned a different way to express that. It's still meaningful, it's still the same amount of Tic Tacs, but what they're calling it, what we call it, is something else.
Yeah. That's why I was saying at the beginning, the way we define odd and even, would they be mistaken if they said that there was an odd amount?
Yeah, well,
There
that's
was
the
30.
thing, you know. I mean, that's what you discern through having the conversation of how did you arrive at that as your answer, in an objective way, not with biases, like you said, you know. And so, so allowing them to explain, well, you know, this is just how I learned how to do it. So they could be completely sane, no delusions, you know, not trying to be just contrary. This is really what they've learned, and so that's how their belief is formed. Versus someone that obviously knows how to drive, they have a license, they know what a bike lane is, and then they intentionally or distractedly run into a cyclist and then claim, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, even though this is my car and I'm the one standing here speaking to the police right now.
Yeah.
That's someone that's lost, you know, connection a bit, or they're trying to get out of it and just are in denial of the situation. You know, oh my God, I actually just almost killed somebody because of my distractedness or whatever the reason was.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to think about because it seems like we could just appeal to, well, it's my reality that this isn't the case. And why would that not be a sufficient argument out of anything? You know what I mean? Like, if we were supposed to meet somewhere at 9 o'clock, and I showed up at 9:30, and you were wondering why I was late, and I said, well, it's my reality that it's only 9 right now. Like, why wouldn't that be okay?
Well, if it's okay for you to do that, then yeah, we probably wouldn't do business again. Because my reality is to show up on time.
Because it matters that we agree that there is.
Yeah, that's the social contract, right?
We have agreement about what odd and even means, and what 9 o'clock means, and what personal injury means.
Yep.
So where does that agreement come from if everybody has their own reality?
Well, there I think are certain things in this agreement that we have in moving through our physical lives and in a modern life. There are certain things that we agree on that we accept together as part of reality.
Okay.
So there's a framework that we're all agreeing to. And so when I speak about reality, it is the individual's perspective from their experience. That's what I consider reality. So there is this, like I said, there is this, the maze that we all live in as we're learning. But then the internal dialogue and the way we express and the way that we view, that's reality for an individual.
Okay, can somebody's perception and experience present a reality to them that is inaccurate?
Well, again, we're coming to where is the inaccuracy?
Right.
That's someone else observing. Then no. I mean, my reality is my reality. Your reality is your reality. If you feel that my reality is false, that's your perception of reality. It doesn't affect me because my reality is mine, And I can choose to question my reality. I can choose to change it, but it's still mine, as yours is yours. And so any sort of, is it inaccurate, is it false, that's a judgment from outside of my reality.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand. Can anybody be wrong about anything?
Yeah, they can, but it takes an acceptance, an acknowledgement of being wrong, and then something perhaps in the behavior changing. Maybe not. Maybe it is just acknowledgement.
I have to acknowledge that I'm wrong in order to be wrong?
Right.
So I'm not wrong until I acknowledge it.
Yeah, now that's a slippery slope, because if there are things that you're hanging on to that are destructive in some way, like to yourself, it's bringing suffering, then that's when delusion and denial start to set in, perhaps resentments begin to set in, because you're wanting someone else's reality to conform perhaps to your reality, and maybe there are things you're not accepting. And so then that's a choice of like, I know this isn't real for someone else, but it's real for me and my reality.
Okay. One more question about this, and then we'll move on. Is that cool?
Yeah, I feel like I'm carrying on nonsense, though, but okay.
if I hit you with the car and you were on your bike and I was driving around in the bike lane with my car, and I'd never acknowledged that it was wrong for me to drive in the bike lane, it sounds like you're saying that I would not be wrong until I acknowledge that.
Well, in that situation, there's the social contract of vehicular homicide, you know? And so you'll be behind bars, perhaps, or at least highly fined, and your belief may or may not change, but the agreed collective reality is going to do something about what you've just done.
The collective reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the maze that we live in, that we all agree, especially in driving and you know, getting from point A to point B, until there are transporters which can maneuver us through this space without becoming in contact with each other. Or we do have to live in cubicles underground, then yeah, there has to be a collective reality.
Okay.
For sure.
So society has to agree on stuff for somebody to be mistaken about something. Would that
Yeah,
be a good way
and
to-
certain in those cases where it's, you know, affecting other people. I mean, like you went towards law, right? That's another construct. That's an agreement that we have collectively that, yeah, we don't go break into people's houses. We don't steal babies. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. Now, somebody may want to do that, and people do that, you know, but they, in their world, that piece of the contract isn't as important to them, or they don't consider it real.
Are we all living on the same planet?
No. Well, it depends on what you mean by that, though.
That might be something that we can talk about next time, huh?
Yeah.
So, all right, so back to this one.
Yep.
How much does this conclusion on that scale from 0 to 100, how much does that affect your behavior?
The thing I wrote down? Yeah, all of it. Really, it's who I am, really.
It affects your behavior like 100% or 90, or where would you put yourself?
Yeah, that's tough because, you know, there are masks that we wear, right? And so I think in certain situations you're only showing or allowing who you are to affect part of your decisions because of whatever the contract may be. But I've reached an age now where that's less and less, and more and more just me, and so I think
It affects your behavior greatly, you'd say.
a lot more now. Yeah, I temper it a lot less, for sure.
So tomorrow, if you found out that this conclusion was not true, your behavior would change?
No, I don't think so. I think it's really ingrained in who I am. So, I mean, it would have to be pretty considerable.
Like, if you were convinced
If I was
tomorrow
convinced
that you were mistaken about this
completely,
claim.
wow, okay, that would be mind-blowing, for sure. Yeah.
Because otherwise it wouldn't affect your behavior, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, if I find out tomorrow, because this is such a high confidence, this is such a part of who I am, it would take time to process, for sure.
Sure.
It would take time to come to some sort of conclusion. I believe reality is shaken. Whether it changes or not would take more exploration to really, I think, understand and integrate this new information.
I guess what I'm trying to find out is, if you found out it wasn't true and your behavior was the same, then it doesn't really have a big effect on you. Like, I would.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, when I'm thinking about what I wrote down, I think I would happily continue on, even though it's proven to not be real, this particular thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just a much, it's a joyful way of living, I think so.
Got it. Even if it's not true, it still brings you joy to live as though it is true.
Yeah, I think so. And that's, for me, and maybe this is a belief also, but for me, that's the point of all of this, is to aim towards joy, always.
Got it. And holding this belief improves that experience.
Yeah, for me, for my reality, for the world I live on.
On the planet you live on, this helps.
Get those rocket boosters ready, buddy.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
So,
am I making sense at all? I feel like I'm just like speaking spaghetti.
Do you feel like you have a better understanding about what your process was, or maybe putting these things into a way for you to express it? We kind of talked about art before, where art helps us express things that we're not really able to express with words. But sometimes I find that having these discussions at least helps me to put my thought process into words. And I guess the question is, to answer your question, the question is it doing that for you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree that, especially in the way that I do processing, it's a lot of silence. It's a lot of shorthand, that my synapses has in making conclusions. So bringing it through this filter and putting it into words that are understandable, maybe relatable, it does get me to look at things from a different angle, because I do have to slow down and be careful, I think. And I think those moments when I feel like I'm speaking through a mouthful of spaghetti are those moments where I haven't really articulated it in this way before. It's just kind of just a feeling, a piece of growth that's happened internally that I just haven't had the wherewithal to express. It just is.
Sometimes we don't stop and think about why we think a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or stop and speak about why we think a certain way. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think we're on the right track.
Yeah. Okay.
Without revealing what the claim is, this is probably going to be the hardest question to answer as far as that goes.
Can I look at my claim one more time?
Yeah.
Let me just.
Yeah.
Now that we've gone through a bit, let me refresh. I mean, I know it, but
Yeah.
Let's just be clear. Yes. Yeah, I absolutely still 100% believe that.
Okay, cool. What is your main reason? What's the reason that supports the 100% confidence the most? Where if that reason wasn't available, or if you found that reason was not sufficient, would drop your confidence the most? What would be the
Well, I think we
main
agreed
reason?
that it wouldn't. because it is such an ingrained part, and it feels good and it feels right for me.
Yeah.
So even if it was proven incorrect, this particular belief, I still, there'd be some more contemplation for sure. There'd be some adoption there, but I think at its core it wouldn't change, and my confidence in it wouldn't change.
What's the main reason that brings you to that confidence level?
In the ways that I've moved through suffering in my life, this particular belief has proven time and again to be a healing and supportive way to move through these things. It's the best way that I can define my experience also in this life. It's the lens in which I view the world, my reality. And it's a comfort that I've shared with other people, and they also have found some meaning in it in their own way, not exactly as I define or put feeling into the words, I guess, but in some way it's been impactful.
Okay, so X is true, and X, the main reason why X is true is because it's been a way for you to move through your life and get clarity as far as...
clarity, healing, an understanding
clarity,
of
healing,
suffering and impermanence. And
so the reason itself is a way to understand things?
Yeah, I think so. It's a way for me to understand my reality, I guess, right? And continue to grow towards something positive and try to leave this world better off.
Why is that a good reason to accept something to be true?
Well, I think compassion is always the better choice. I don't see any reason why someone would choose to live in a discompassionate way.
Can somebody be compassionate and arrive at a false conclusion?
Sure. Yeah, there's always well-meaning heroes,
So if that's the case, then why is that a good reason? Why would that be a good reason to hold that much confidence if it can lead to false conclusions?
Well, it's unfortunate if it does, but I think if anyone's intent is to do something in a compassionate way, that's a good intention, right? It may go awry. It may not be the right time for it.
I think we're separating, or the idea here is to separate intention, like intending to do something right, separating that from having confidence that it's accurate.
One more time?
Like the reason, like separating the idea of intention versus confidence that something's factually accurate.
Well, I think your confidence is what drives your intention, though, right? If you're confident that your action is a compassionate one and is needed at this moment, and then you act on it with that intention.
Confidence that it's true is what
Confidence
I'm asking.
that what the action you're getting ready to take is required and will be welcomed
Mm-hmm.
also. Because even a compassionate act may not be welcomed at that moment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
mean, like, I may feel, okay, I want to give a hot cup of coffee to this homeless guy sitting out my local store or whatever,
Yeah.
but he may not want that. He might take that as an affront, even though it's a very compassionate act, and the intent behind it is to ease their suffering as well as my own, and seeing this, you know, this person in the state.
Yeah.
But they may not take it as that. They may take it as an insult.
Yeah.
They may, you know, have just had a cup of coffee. They don't want any more, you know.
Right. I guess where I'm trying to draw the separation is being confident that this is the right thing to do versus confidence that it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And with the claim that you've got, I'm interested in understanding the main reason why you think it's true, and that is because it's offered you healing.
Mm-hmm. Solace and direction
And if somebody can use that reason to arrive at false conclusions, why is that a good reason to be 100% confident that the claim is true?
Well, I can't control if someone else, you know, if they arrived at something else by using the same reasoning. I mean, it comes to also, the definition of words too, right? Like, when they read what I've written, they may have a different experience in reading that than I do, because of the weight that you put on certain things, or your experience with those particular words through your life, and how it has a meaning or a feeling. You know, the people that you've met or have been touched by some intention that's fueled by that belief. So
I think I'm understanding. Is there a way to test this conclusion to see if it's true or not true?
is there a way to test this conclusion? Well, it's true for me, so you want to be able to test it to see if it's true for you.
If we wanted to find out that this conclusion is a fact about our world,
Okay.
the world that we share.
All right. So we are
Is there a
together
way
going
to
to investigate.
Yeah, is there a way to test it?
Certain facets of it, yes. Certain facets of it, yes, you could scientifically, and I believe there is science behind it.
Okay. So there is a way to test.
There's
a way to test
portion
it.
of it. The other portion of it, again, comes from how you define certain words. So if I were to define a particular word in there, and you define it differently, it's not going to land the same. So there might be a different word that you substitute, and then you get the intent behind my belief.
Let's say we agree on the definition of that word.
Okay, yep.
Is there...
Well, if we agree on the definition of that word, then there isn't any proving I need to do.
Okay. Is there a failure component to the test? Like, do you have a way to tell that it failed the test?
Do I have a way to...
We could test to see if gravity works here in this park.
Yeah, okay.
And one test that we could do is I could drop my pen. That'd be the test.
Okay.
if gravity was not working, we would be able to tell that the test, that it was that it failed the test because this would start floating instead of falling. So that's one way to tell if gravity was not working here.
Yep. Okay.
Is there a way to tell that this conclusion is not true?
Yeah, that's really difficult because I have such high confidence in it.
I have confidence in gravity working here in this park, but I have a way to tell if it wasn't working.
Right. I guess, yeah, perhaps. Yeah, okay. If this belief were to be shaken in some way, right, and changed, or redefined, it's like some new information has come to light, perhaps, then it could be proven, false at that point. But is there a way to test it in the moment? This particular belief, it would be it'd be difficult to prove. It would.
Sounds like it'd be difficult to disprove.
It'd be difficult to disprove. Yes, it's very easy to prove it, I believe, but difficult to disprove.
Do you think
but see, I'm speaking I'm speaking from 100% confidence.
Right.
If I were to speak to someone who's jaded and destitute, they may not believe this. They may throw a pile of dog shit at me. But like, how dare you say that? Because I am sitting from my experience. Seated here.
And somebody could conclude based on their experience in something that could lead them to a false conclusion, you said, right?
Yeah, because of how they may define certain words in that statement from their experience.
Okay.
Words have power,
Is it important for you to be able to disprove something that you think is true?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, you want to, when you're especially making some sort of decision, especially if it's like how you're going to live your life, I absolutely believe that it's worthy to do yourself that favor and look at it from as many different angles and try to chase those rabbits where they go. At a certain point, though, you have to say, okay, this is enough proof for me. Then this is all in. This is my belief. Otherwise, you're spending your life just trying to disprove yourself, and that's exhausting. You should just accept this is my belief.
Okay. It sounds like what you're saying, it's important for you to be able to tell if you were wrong.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and this particular belief that I wrote down, or statement that I wrote down, is something that I have done a lot of study on, and turning it into, is this right for me? Is this real for me? Does this feel good for me? And the answer is yes. So that's why I live this life.
Cool.
In this way.
Can you think of any criteria that would, I know that you said that you were 100% confident that this claim is true. Is there anything that you could learn that would raise your confidence at all?
The only thing that I think would raise over 100%.
Yeah, if there was somehow like.
I think only when when I leave this physical form will I know absolutely for sure.
Okay, so you mean dying?
Yeah.
So dying and something happening would raise your confidence that this is true.
Yeah.
Is that the only way to raise your confidence about this?
Well, if my confidence is shaken in it, so let's say I'm wavering, the thing that brings me back to 100%. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
So my confidence is wavering, and the thing that brings me back to 100% is my practice, is re-engaging with art, so that's being at the leading edge of creation.
Art?
Yep.
Okay.
And then my practice as far as zazen, so being in meditation, and my practice in witchcraft as well brings me in tune with the natural world and the forces that are around me as creation's being made. So making those connections helps to bring me back to 100% confidence.
Okay. If somehow your confidence was shaken in this, one way to get you back to 100% confidence that it's true is your art, meditation practice, and then feeling a connection with the natural world. Okay.
Yeah, practice in general. The practice that I have, whatever modality you want to use, the discipline of that practice, and in coming back to that place that I know is safe, and I can begin to feel that belief and be able to question it without judgment. Is this real? And to be able to discern and come back to what I've asserted myself for my life, and where does the joy? Am I aiming towards joy still? With this high confidence. If I'm not, then I need to investigate further. But for this particular belief, when I take those times to go into those particular modalities that have guided me so well so far, and I have no reason to question their ability to bring my confidence back to 100%.
Is joy required for your confidence to be high that this is true?
Joy is the, let's say you're sitting in a room and you hear a car alarm going off. What happens? You turn towards that sound. And that's what I feel like joy is. Like when I'm feeling lost or isolated, I know what that feeling feels like. And so when I hear it, I want to move towards it.
Okay. It's something that gets your attention.
It definitely gets my attention.
Okay.
There's no denying it.
Okay.
There's no denying that feeling. And just as there's no way of denying when you feel angry, when you feel sad, that's just, so I have attuned my feelings to be able to know when a certain one's coming, whether I need to direct my energy towards it. And when I'm feeling lost, or I'm feeling my confidence is shaken, then knowing that I can, as the crows around us are telling me to do my work, I hear the birds. Anyway, that's another conversation. They're saying, hey, just do the work, girl. But anyway, it's
the crows are communicating
that's
with you.
confidence building for me. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So that's so I just aim back toward realign myself with that feeling of joy. What's joyful for me, is what I aim towards. I want to bring everyone with me towards that, and so I speak my truth when I can. I appreciate this forum to do that.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about having your confidence shaken. Can you think of anything that would cause your confidence to be shaken about this?
Sure. I mean, we're still living in this modern world, and even though there are social contracts, there are certain things that happen within these social contracts that are not from a place of compassion. They're ego-filled, greedy, whatever, you know. And so when those things happen, when I see others blatantly causing the suffering of others, my confidence gets shaken. You know? Because who am I, this one person, to try and change the hearts and minds of people? I'm going to give it my all to try and do that, but there are definitely moments when you see these people, like where we're living now, seeing these people living in the cold and in destitution, and and then juxtaposition of that is these beautiful neighborhoods. It's difficult for me to reconcile sometimes, but I know that through my practice of just that practice of aiming towards of seeing that and still choosing joy, still wishing them well, all of them across the spectrum, those that are cruel and those that are the most kind, that I know I'm moving us all forward in some way, you know. If I'm not able to do something in action, I can at least do it in spirit, in practice.
Yeah, it seems like if you looked hard enough, you'd find a lot of examples of things people are doing that would lower your confidence in this.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself having that confidence shaken often about this particular belief being true? You said that would be criteria that would cause your confidence to go down, right?
Yeah. Sure, there's moments. Not recently. I mean, the past 3 years, I think I've leveled up in certain aspects of my practice, as far as releasing my attachment with an outcome, you know, and knowing that it's the right answer for certain behaviors to be changed, but my attachment to it is causing suffering. I just have to allow these things for people to arrive at things themselves, and so that's helped a lot, because there's that moment of like, why am I caring so much? You know, why am I holding such a high ideal and regard for who we are? Because my statement is a we statement. That it does shake your confidence, because you just feel like, well, I'm just this one person, and this is my perception and my belief too that I'm trying to hold a we to. So those are those moments where the confidence gets shaken, like, you know, well, this is just some personal philosophy, you know, whatever, you know. And
sounds like it might be overwhelming sometimes, huh?
It used to be, but also when you lean towards like for me, the concept of big mind, that we're all actually just one collective of a learning consciousness, and that, you know, there is a fathomlessness to compassion, then no, I've learned to have my own capacity for sure, and I have to recognize when my capacity is depleted.
You have to take care of yourself too.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the practice, you also learn how to just be a conduit, that you're just there, your capacity is not affected, except in the way that you are receiving the compassion that you're pulling and then sending out. So you're using the source, which is endless, to send that compassion out, to send that healing out, to try and help people with understanding each other in a more empathetic way. And so then what it used to be was I would use my own capacity for that, to help healing people and stuff, and I would be just wrecked from it. And so it's just learning to work with it, really, and knowing that it's endless, and that's difficult for some people. I think in my claim, there's a certain word I use that certain people would define it within. It has boundaries, that it is can be parsed and defined and all of that. And my definition of it, it's not. It's all in everything, and it's endless. And it doesn't need to be parsed, and it shouldn't be.
That's a good place to end.
Yeah. My goodness.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, do you want to see what my thing is?
Yeah, do you want to reveal it? It's up to you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the world should know. That's Kleenex. That's not it either. Okay. We are all beings of light, moving toward and powered by love.
We are all beings of light and
moving toward
and powered by love.
Yeah. So the beginning part, the beings of light, that's the bit that I believe we could prove scientifically. Photons and whatnot.
Okay.
Moving towards and powered by love, that's the bit that, you can substitute different words for love, for sure.
We could make that more than one claim, too. We could have the claim, we are beings of light.
Moving towards and powered by.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. How do you think this talk went?
For the first time, this is the first time we've actually done this formally. So, it was great to experiment with you too, and it was challenging to try and speak about this. But I still felt like maybe it's because it was so general. If it was something very specific, it would have been more difficult. Like some experience or something. It was great to talk about art as well.
And if you have, a place where you'd want people to go to check out your art, you can give that to me, and I can put that in the...
what I have is my website, The Sunshine Moment, but that's about my teaching mindfulness and
anything you want to...
and Wicca,
Anything you want to promote.
That's all. I don't have my art up there as of yet, but The Sunshine Moment on Instagram also, my art, there's some art there for sure.
Cool. That way
I'll give you the links.
That way people can go check it out.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
This was great. I appreciate it.
It's really